The last transmission from Outpost Kappa-9 arrived on a Monday morning, just 7 minutes before every system aboard the station went silent. It wasn't a distress call, a warning, or a request for rescue. Instead, it contained a single sentence that every communications officer in the inner systems would remember for the rest of their lives. "Please tell the Council, we found the builders." Then the signal ended. No explosion followed. No debris appeared on military scanners. The station itself remained exactly where it had always been, drifting peacefully above the forgotten ocean world of Asterion-4, as though nothing unusual had ever happened. Yet every attempt to contact the crew failed. Long-range cameras showed lights still glowing behind the observation windows. Docking beacons continued transmitting. Even the station's artificial gravity remained active. It looked completely alive, except that no one aboard ever answered again. Within hours, the Galactic Council declared the entire system permanently restricted. Every navigation route passing within 3 light-years was erased from civilian star charts, and official records described Asterion-4 as an unstable gravitational hazard. Most people accepted the explanation without question. Dr. Nathan Hale did not. After 43 years studying civilizations that official history preferred to forget, he had developed an instinct that had never failed him. Whenever governments erased maps instead of answering questions, they were usually hiding something far more dangerous than the truth itself. 3 months later, against direct orders from the Council, Nathan's research vessel crossed the invisible boundary surrounding the abandoned system. Nothing happened. No patrol ships, no warning buoys, no defense satellites, only silence. The kind of silence that feels less like empty space and more like a place that has been waiting far too long for someone to return. As Asterion-4 slowly emerged from the darkness, its endless blue oceans reflected the distant stars like polished glass. Orbiting above them, exactly where the final transmission had placed it, floated Outpost Kappa-9. From a distance, the station looked untouched. But as the cameras zoomed closer, Maya Chen quietly noticed something that froze everyone on the bridge. The docking bay doors were slowly opening. No ship had requested permission to dock. No life signs had been detected, yet someone or something already knew they were coming. The docking bay continued opening with mechanical precision, as though someone on the other side had been patiently waiting for their arrival. Ancient motors, silent for months, moved without hesitation. There were no warning lights, no emergency alarms, and no visible damage. Whatever had opened the station knew exactly what it was doing. Nathan ordered the research vessel to remain outside while a small exploration team crossed the short distance through the docking tunnel. The station felt strangely ordinary. The air was warm. Gravity remained perfectly stable. Lights illuminated the corridors with the same soft white glow recorded in the station's original construction plans decades earlier. Even the clocks mounted along the walls continued marking time, each one ticking in perfect synchronization, as though the crew had simply stepped away moments before. But they hadn't. Coffee mugs still rested on workstations. Research tablets remained open. Half-finished maintenance reports glowed on untouched computer screens. One chair near the observation deck had been pushed back so suddenly that it lay on its side, exactly where someone had left it. It looked less like an abandoned station, and more like a place where every person had vanished between one heartbeat and the next. No bodies, no blood, no damaged equipment, nothing. Maya Chen slowly examined the station's central computer, expecting corrupted files or signs of sabotage. Instead, she found something even more unsettling. Every security recording from the final day still existed. None had been deleted. Nathan immediately ordered the recordings restored. The first cameras showed ordinary routines. Engineers inspected power systems. Scientists compared ocean scans. Pilots prepared supply shuttles. Nothing suggested fear, panic, or even concern. Then, exactly 7 minutes before the station transmitted its final message, every person aboard stopped what they were doing at the same instant. Not one, not two, every single member of the crew. Mechanics inside the engine room, scientists in the laboratory, security officers walking the corridors, even the station commander halfway through drinking his morning coffee. All of them slowly turned toward the observation windows overlooking the planet below. None of them spoke. None of them moved. For nearly 40 seconds, they simply stared. Nathan leaned closer to the screen. The cameras showed only empty ocean beyond the glass, nothing else. Then, without warning, every camera aboard the station lost power for exactly 3 seconds. When the recording returned, the station was empty. The commander was gone. The engineers were gone. The scientists were gone. Every corridor, laboratory, and control room stood silent, as though the entire crew had simply ceased to exist. Nobody aboard Nathan's expedition said a word. Finally, Maya broke the silence. If the cameras never saw them leave, she whispered, then where did they go? Before anyone could answer, a deep metallic sound echoed through the station. Not from the walls, not from the engines, from somewhere far below them. A sound no blueprint had ever mentioned. Something enormous had just awakened beneath Outpost Kappa-9. The sound echoed again. Not loud, not violent. It rolled through the station like the slow heartbeat of a machine too large for the human mind to imagine. The floor beneath Nathan's boots vibrated almost imperceptibly, and every light in the corridor dimmed for the briefest moment before returning to normal. No one aboard the station spoke. The sound came once more. This time, they knew where it originated. The original station blueprints showed nothing beneath the main research decks, except structural supports extending toward the ocean below. Yet Maya's portable scanner displayed an enormous hollow space directly underneath them, one that should not have existed according to every official design file. Someone had built an entirely separate structure beneath Outpost Kappa-9, and no record of it existed. Nathan ordered the team downward. The elevator should have stopped after 12 levels. Instead, after Maya bypassed the station's security lock, a hidden control illuminated for the first time in decades. Level 13. None of them had seen it before. The elevator descended. 12, 13, 14, 15. It kept going, far below the station, far below the ocean's surface. The numbers eventually disappeared altogether, replaced by a single symbol unlike anything recorded in the Galactic archive. No one recognized it. No one could even guess which civilization had created it. After nearly 3 minutes, the elevator slowed to a stop. The doors opened silently. No one stepped out, not immediately, because what lay beyond was impossible. The chamber stretched so far into the darkness that even the team's floodlights failed to reach the opposite wall. Towering pillars disappeared into the ceiling high above, each carved from a dark metallic stone that reflected light like polished glass. Between them stood hundreds of statues unlike any species known to the modern galaxy. Some were taller than houses. Some had 6 arms. Others possessed wings fashioned from overlapping sheets of crystal-like metal. Yet despite their differences, every statue faced the same direction, toward an enormous circular doorway at the end of the hall. Nathan felt a chill he could not explain. Archaeologists spend their lives searching for forgotten civilizations. None ever expect to stand inside one. Maya carefully examined the nearest pillar. There were no decorations, no symbols celebrating victories, no names of kings, only thousands of tiny handprints, large, small, different shapes, different numbers of fingers, hundreds of species, all pressed into the same stone, as though they had once stood together. Marcus Bennett slowly removed his gloves and placed his own hand beside one of the ancient impressions. It was almost identical. These weren't conquered civilizations, he said quietly. They came here willingly. Before Nathan could respond, every statue in the chamber moved. Not much, just enough. Hundreds of stone heads slowly turned together until they were looking directly at the expedition team. Weapons rose instinctively. No one fired. The statues remained silent, watching. Then the massive circular doorway at the end of the hall began to glow with a pale blue light. Ancient mechanisms hidden for 5,000 years awakened one after another, each producing the same deep metallic sound that had echoed through the station above. Dust lifted from the floor. The enormous door slowly separated down the middle. Cold air rushed into the chamber, not stale air, fresh air, as though the room beyond had never been abandoned. Nathan's heart raced. If fresh air still existed inside, then something had been maintaining this place for 5,000 years. The opening widened. Beyond it lay another chamber, perfectly illuminated, perfectly clean. At its center stood a single chair before an immense circular window overlooking the endless ocean beneath the station. Someone was sitting in the chair, motionless, facing away from them. The figure appeared unmistakably human, gray hair, dark clothing, hands resting calmly on the armrests. Nathan took one careful step forward. The figure slowly stood, then turned. It wasn't human. It only wanted them to think it was. And when it finally spoke, its first words were not a greeting. They were a warning. You arrived centuries earlier than we calculated, which means the Council has already broken the covenant. For several long seconds, no one moved. Nathan had spent his entire career studying forgotten civilizations, deciphering broken inscriptions, and separating myths from history. He had imagined what it might feel like to finally stand before someone who remembered the ancient galaxy. Nothing had prepared him for this. The figure standing before them appeared almost human, but something about it was unmistakably different. Its movements were too precise, its eyes too calm, and its face carried none of the hesitation or emotion of someone surprised by visitors. It looked at Nathan as though it had been expecting him, not him personally, someone like him. You said the Council broke the covenant, Nathan finally asked. What covenant? The figure walked slowly toward the enormous observation window. Beneath them, the endless ocean stretched into darkness, hiding secrets that no civilization had been allowed to uncover for 5,000 years. When the First Stellar Alliance ended, it replied, the galaxy stood at the edge of another extinction. Entire civilizations had fallen because every generation repeated the same mistake. They discovered knowledge before they had gained the wisdom to use it. The room around them began to change. The smooth walls became living displays, projecting enormous scenes into the air. Nathan watched planets burn beneath orbital weapons. Entire star systems collapsed into darkness. Cities larger than continents disappeared beneath expanding rings of light. Then the images changed again. Different species, different worlds, the same ending. War, fear, pride, over and over again. This was not one civilization's failure, the figure continued. It was everyone's. Maya stared silently at the projections. So you hid everything. We preserved everything. The distinction mattered. The builders did not vanish, the figure said. We chose to step away. We left behind knowledge that could rebuild the galaxy, or destroy it forever. The covenant required every future civilization to mature naturally before receiving what we had learned. Nathan slowly turned toward the silent station above them. Then why erase your existence? Because history is easier to protect than power. Those words settled over the room like a weight. For centuries, explorers had searched for the builders believing they had become victims of some unimaginable catastrophe. The truth was almost harder to accept. They had hidden themselves. Deliberately, not out of fear, out of responsibility. Marcus broke the silence. If that's true, why is the Galactic Council keeping this place secret? Why stop us from finding it? For the first time, the figure hesitated. Its expression did not change. Its voice did. Because the Council no longer protects the Covenant. The room fell silent. Nathan felt the meaning of those words before he fully understood them. The Council, he said slowly, already entered this place. The figure nodded. 312 years ago. Maya looked toward Nathan in disbelief. Then they've known the truth all this time. They did. Nathan's thoughts raced. Every restricted archive, every erased star map, every expedition that had mysteriously disappeared, it suddenly fit together. The Council had not been protecting the galaxy. They had been protecting a secret. But why? Nathan whispered. The figure turned toward him. Its voice became almost solemn. Because they took something that was never meant to leave this world. Before anyone could ask another question, every light inside the chamber suddenly shifted from white to deep crimson. A calm mechanical voice echoed through the hall. Unauthorized fleet entering planetary orbit. Maya rushed to the observation console. Dozens of new signals had appeared above Asterion-4. Not one, not 10. An entire Galactic Council battle fleet. Nathan stared upward through the ceiling as though he could see the ships descending through the clouds. They're not here to rescue us, he said quietly. They're here to make sure no one ever leaves. We'll do the same. The first Council warship emerged from hyperspace without a single broadcast. Then another. And another. Within less than 2 minutes, more than 80 vessels had formed a silent ring around Asterion-4, their immense shadows passing across the planet's endless oceans like approaching storms. They made no attempt to communicate with Nathan's expedition. They simply waited, surrounding the world with the calm confidence of those who believed the outcome had already been decided. No one aboard Nathan's vessel celebrated the arrival of reinforcements. They understood exactly what it meant. The Council had not crossed half the galaxy to rescue a handful of archaeologists. They had come to bury the truth. Inside the ancient chamber, the Guardian remained perfectly still as crimson warning lights continued washing across the towering pillars. They cannot stop what has already begun, it said quietly. Nathan looked toward the enormous circular window. What has begun? Instead of answering, the Guardian raised one hand toward the ceiling. The floor beneath them trembled. Far below the chamber, ancient engines awakened one after another, each producing the same deep metallic pulse that had echoed through the station since Nathan's arrival. The sound spread across the entire planet. Then the oceans moved, not because of storms, not because of earthquakes. The water itself slowly withdrew from the center of the largest sea, flowing outward in every direction as though an invisible force were gently lifting it away. Within minutes, a continent-sized structure emerged from beneath the waves. Nathan forgot to breathe. The warship they had expected to find had never existed. What they had mistaken for a single vessel was only the roof. An entire city had been hidden beneath the oceans. Its towers rose silently into the sunlight. Its bridges stretched for miles. Its domes reflected the sky like polished crystal. No ruins, no decay. Only a civilization waiting beneath the sea for 5,000 years. Every Council ship in orbit immediately broke formation, not to attack the city, to flee. They're running, Maya whispered. Nathan turned toward the Guardian. They're afraid, yes, but they have the largest fleet in the galaxy. They have the largest fleet, the Guardian replied. They do not possess the truth. Across the chamber, another projection filled the air. Nathan watched thousands of worlds appear as glowing lights connected by brilliant pathways. One by one, the lights disappeared, not because they had been destroyed, because they had chosen isolation. The builders never ruled the galaxy, the Guardian explained. We connected it. When we left, every civilization was free to choose its own future. Some chose wisdom, others chose power. A single light began flashing at the center of the map. The Council inherited responsibility. Another light appeared. They inherited fear. Then another. They slowly replaced truth with control. Nathan finally understood. The erased maps, the forbidden expeditions, the missing archives. The Council had never feared ancient weapons. They feared ancient knowledge. Because a population that learns the truth can never again be ruled by carefully edited history. Suddenly, every screen inside the chamber displayed the same message: primary archive ready. The Guardian turned toward Nathan. For 5,000 years this archive has waited for one decision. What decision? Whether humanity has become wise enough to receive it. Nathan looked at Maya, at Marcus, at the endless city beyond the window, then toward the Council fleet gathering above. Everything depended on the next choice. If I accept it, he asked, what happens? The archive will awaken, and if I refuse, the builders remain a forgotten story. Silence settled over the chamber. Nathan remembered every world he had visited, every civilization destroyed by greed, every lie hidden behind official records. Knowledge itself had never been the enemy. The heart using it had always decided its purpose. He looked back at the Guardian. Then the decision shouldn't belong to one man. For the first time since they had entered the chamber, the Guardian smiled. A wise answer. The ancient city responded instantly. Across thousands of towers, golden lights awakened one after another, spreading across the horizon like sunrise. Above the planet, every Council warship received the same transmission simultaneously. Not a weapon, not a threat, the complete history of the builders, unedited, unchanged, impossible to erase. Within minutes, the transmission spread beyond military networks, then civilian observatories, then universities, then homes across the explored galaxy. For the first time in 5,000 years, history belonged to everyone. The Council could silence explorers. It could erase maps. It could even hide worlds. But it could never force an entire galaxy to forget the truth once the truth had been seen. As Nathan's vessel quietly departed Asterion-4, he looked back one final time. The oceans had already begun covering the ancient city once again, not because it was hiding, because its purpose had finally been fulfilled. Some discoveries change history, others simply remind civilization that the greatest treasures were never weapons or machines. They were the courage to seek the truth and the wisdom to share it.